Let's start off by how to indication. Where is Mid?
Hit my head.
Good morning, Gate City.
Good morning.
My name is Biz Middleton. I've been a member for, I don't know, 8 or 9 years, and there's a lot of new folks here, and you'll be seeing a lot more of me, and I look forward to getting to know y'all. You go through seasons, but keep that attendance up. All right, let's bow our heads. The measure of a man's greatness is not the number of servants he has, but the number of servants he serves. Lord, in this room of we people, more than me people, I tell my girls, be a we person, don't be a me person. Sometimes it works. Continue to give us the heart of a servant, tender and faithful and true. Fill us with love, then use us, O Lord, so that the world can see you. Amen. Let's pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the four-way test, the things we say and do.
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Village.
How many years has that been? Getting everybody going.
Wayne, are you ready for Sergeant Arms? You good to go?
Guests today we're visiting Rotary from Barcelona.
There's been no
Moreno,
changes.
Carrelia Moreno, and Leda Du Bois.
Thank you.
And we also have Kim Dane and Billy Dodd.
Dale, happiness, or
Yes.
what do we call them?
All
Birthday anniversaries and.
right. On August 7th, Max Kern will have a birthday. Is Max here? And then on the 9th of August, Chris and Stephanie Justice will celebrate their wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
That's it? Any announcements out there? I have a couple. Matthew, go ahead.
We're going to be looking at doing a street clean, I think September 16th. We'll get the email out with the sign-up genius as soon as I figure out how to do that, so maybe today. They're going to like working with it, so that's it. Thank you.
Also, just want to remind everybody, we're going to be at the Revolutionary Mills next week. Y'all remember me making that announcement last week? By show of hands?
Oh yeah.
Good deal. All right, let's look at by a show of hands who plan on attending.
Do you have the exact address?
Chip's going to speak on that.
I will get out a map, a locator, let you know exactly where we'll meet because it is a big place. I'll get you directions, and right now I just need to get a show of hands so we can prepare some, have an idea on the food needs. So, okay.
You want to count?
I'll get an email out to you probably tomorrow or early next week on that. 30, thanks.
Also, I want to remind you all recall our doubleheader last year with the Wake Forest and Florida State football game, and then there's going to be a basketball game, but the football game is September 30th. So, wanted to go ahead and make you aware of that. The tickets are a discount. It's a big Rotary drive, so keep that in mind. I'll make other announcements. Any other announcements from anybody else? All right, who's ready to play Rotary Feud? All right.
Make Chris do it.
Well, I was gonna say, we're gonna have our first time contestant for the Justice Fund. Yeah, you can put those in. And let's have the Foster family over here. All right? Justice says his family, so. All right, out of the top 7 answers, 100 people surveyed, name an event a child closes their eyes for. Now, hey, in all fairness, you know Chris has read every one of these things. Don't talk to anybody, only you.
Say,
Oh, and I'm assuming you're gonna play.
yeah, we're gonna play. Roller coaster.
Ding, 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 number 6.
All right.
Wow.
Nap.
Yep.
Nap. And on the nap.
Oh,
Getting a shot.
No, no.
Number 3, good answer, Bridget.
got opening a present.
Close their eyes when they open a present.
And no present opening. Tony.
Storms.
I tried to make it work, guys. That's 3. All right, guys. We got 5 answers.
I'm with you on that.
That's what they just said. Y'all want to try another?
Oh, I'm try another one.
Number 2, scary movies. Number 1 was Sleep. You're welcome here.
That's, you said nap. All right, we gotta start over.
Well, he said nap. All right, Buster. Hey, don't y'all dare ask me to stop doing that. So.
Mid wants to know if you
Happy dollar.
stay.
I got I got a couple.
All right, this is a multiple. Last Saturday, my son Tyler got married. We had a great time. Music was great. Family came to town. My daughter from San Diego is here. She's still sleeping. Number 2, Judy Brumley came through in a pinch to make a sign for me to welcome home my daughter. So anyway.
Good deal.
While we're on Tyler's, I have a son, Tyler. He's gotten involved with a exchange student program, and I think it's called AESA, but it could be AESA. But he sponsored a young lady, Asian young lady last year, and now he's going to be sponsoring 2 more this year. And I've been promising him I would mention this at Rotary for about a year. And this morning when I got up, this was laying on my desk, and I said, this is the day I need to do it. So if anybody has any information, I know we do it through the Rotary, we do a great job with that. I'd appreciate it. I got a couple of little sheets here if anybody's interested in trying to help out. That's it. Good, there you go.
Ben.
Tom, I got a couple. You might notice I'm taping for Jeff Tillman, who's doing a wonderful job. He's way better at this than I ever was. But just to thank Jeff, my wife and I have 1 daughter, and we have a routine. She's grown, so it's a very quiet household. We have our little thing. But every year, her sisters come up to visit. They all have a birthday in August. So last night they arrived. And early on, when it was just them, it was fine. But now they got 3 kids. It's like Middleton over here. They got one that's 6, one that's 4, one that's 2, one on the way, 3 dogs. So this morning, my wife's like, "Oh, you're up early. I forgot to get bagels." I was like, "No, Jeff needs me to take the meeting," and I'm screeching out. So if anybody needs any work, like help moving, let me know. The second one is for David Crabtree. I went Sunday to Hope Ride Sunday. If you haven't seen David preach, go to Calvary. I mean, he is amazing. I'm looking forward to reading the blog and hearing about this latest trip. Doing fantastic things, really are.
Amen. There you go.
We don't have to change either.
help with my computer after the meeting.
I paid it forward.
Yeah.
We celebrated my dad's 85th birthday last week.
All right.
Great health, but he still thinks he's 83. And I had to write it down the year for me to feel he is really 85. And then kudos to John, Nosek, and Kathy for hosting a fabulous 505 yesterday. We had a great time. Thank you for having us in your home.
We just got back from Napa, Sonoma, San Francisco, Long Beach. Wonderful 10 days being gone. Part business and part celebrating our anniversary.
All right. Dr. Tom.
This is $5 in honor of two people in the club. 3 weeks ago, we had to put down our 18-year-old Willie, and Dr. Andrus and his staff were very professional in all the years that we worked with them, and I appreciate that very much. Also, day before yesterday, we sold the Mid-Century Modern House that I restored and made National Register with, and so I'm Sally Milligan helped us with that, so I'm very appreciative to both people.
And you only gave $5?
I don't have a debt for the first time in my life. I've been married almost 51 years.
$50 is commission. Before we get
Yeah, I had sort of a dog experience myself. Many of y'all have met my dog Otto, who's rather precocious. He's stolen food out of John's cooler. He's taken home to his wife. He's helped Chris out with the chicken problem that he had with the fishes. But last Saturday, about 3 weeks ago, the window washing guy, who's a friend of mine, came out and called me up and said, Otto's just drunk half a bucket of soapy water. What do? I said, dear God, just don't let him in the house. This past Saturday, I'm out mowing the lawn. I got a lawn to mow, as y'all may know. And I'm out there and I'm riding that lawn mower and it starts sputtering, and I knew it was full of gas, so it had to be trashed and lined. So I went back up to the barn, got a bucket, pulled the thing off, drained out the gas, took the hose off, blew it out, put it all back together, put fresh gas in it, and took off down the yard. And as I'm coming around the bend, there's Otto drinking the gasoline.
Oh.
Yeah. And I can't get there fast enough, but as I get there, he runs away. And in fact, he starts running around in a circle like that as fast as he can go, and he stops, and he turns around, and he runs back the other way. He falls over, just flops over, and starts foaming at the mouth.
Is this a happy dog?
He just run out of gas.
Terrible.
That was pretty good.
I have the club for sponsoring the Rotary Youth Leadership Program, the Violet. My oldest daughter, Rebecca, just completed it at Guilford College this past Saturday and had a really great experience with a lot of other nice kids from the area. And she realized she's benefiting from it, and I think as she gets older, she'll realize even more of the benefits.
I'm actually really curious about, you've come a long way to be with us. What brings you here?
Venezuela. Social discovered by Rotary locator. I wrote to Ralph. His wife. Hey, Ralph.
I'm coming to see you.
Welcome.
We also want to exchange a flag, a Rotary flag here. Buster busted my butt. That's what they call him, Buster. I wanted to ask what you were doing.
Thank you.
All right.
And what brings you to Greensboro?
Oh.
Just
Oh, can't see Rotary.
He was moving you?
Thank you very much.
I just want
want to say that I feel really happy to be here. I teach at Jones Elementary School. I am a fifth grade Spanish immersion program teacher. And I've been here for about 5 years, and it's a wonderful experience. I'm from Venezuela too, so here, and they track Rotary, and I say, no, there are nice nights, and I say, really? Are you sure? Well, I'm a school teacher, I am, you know. But yes, I was interested. They said, okay, we are going to the meeting, and I say, well, may I join? And they say, yeah.
Wonderful.
So that's why.
Super.
That's
You picked the right Rotary Club. Let me just say. Well, you wouldn't have turned out nearly as well.
Gotta come to a 505 sometime.
Well, as Grandpappy Lewis always used to tell me, he said, when life shuts a door open, it's a door. That's how they work.
Okay, folks. All right, let me get your attention, please. You know, this is a confession. Terms like sliced plate, chopped plate, sweet tea, barbecue slaw. Those were new terms to me at the tender age of 24. Now, others of you I know have heard that vocabulary a lot longer than I have, and enjoy barbecue at a younger age. And whether you pull for Eastern barbecue or Western barbecue, I think you're going to really enjoy our program today. Chip Stamey is going to present to us on the family restaurant. Chip grew up and went to Grimsley High School, graduated from Wake Forest University. He and his wife Liza have 4 children, ages 16 to 23. So if he's not busy enough with getting the renovated store open on Battleground Avenue, I'm sure there are other things that'll keep him plenty busy. Please give a warm Gate City Rotary welcome to Chip Stamey.
Well, thanks for having me out. Don't normally speak at breakfast meetings about barbecues, so I hope y'all will bear with me. I used to do some talking, but now in my business I just do some working. So. I don't know. I just want to I'll start out with just the basics because I don't know the room here. I know a lot of you as customers, but I'm sure there's a few that aren't. Stamey's is a company that started in 1930. My grandfather started it in Lexington, and the story sort of starts with him. I wanted to start out with the slide here. So, founding the barbecue in North Carolina is sort of he alluded to, Chip alluded to it with the Eastern and Western thing, but it's just in the fabric of the state. People in Lexington think that they invented barbecue, and some people down east think that they invented barbecue, but none of them really did. But the guys, our lineage is Lexington style, which is North Carolina. This is a fellow named Sid Weaver, and he's sort of credited along with a guy named Jess Swicegood as being the starting of barbecue in Lexington. Just really look at this. So this is where they put the slaw. There's a mud floor here. This was just a tent on the side of the courthouse. That was the origins of that was actually a fancy barbecue spot for Lexington when it started out. So this is how they actually, I think this is more what people did when they first came out in barbecues. Barbecues were for celebrations, for parties, for getting together. After they picked tobacco or brought in the crops, they decided, hey, we're going to feed a group of people. So they would, in their style, in Lexington, they would take the pork shoulders. These are pork shoulders. They don't really look like much anything. And they would lay them out and cook them under hickory wood coals. and just get together and eat some food. So that became just really important to people that really enjoyed getting together. And so then these guys are entrepreneurs. They said, we can make some money doing this. And so they started, when court was in session in Lexington, they would stay outside and on the court days, I think it was like twice a week, and just sell to the people at lunch. So that's the guy that is really credited to it. And this was the outside of his place. So this fella is is the guy my grandfather learned from. He and that's my grandfather. He came from a family of 8. He was the youngest. By the time he got to high school, his parents were passed away both because they lived hard and died young. And so he got passed around by his sisters and his family, and he got passed around with his sisters and his family. So he ended up in Lexington and in the middle of the Depression in 1927 or so, and that was his first job. So he learned from a guy named Sid Weaver and from a guy named Jeff Swicegood, and he got out of high school and he's like, what am I going to do? There's nothing else for him. There was no jobs going around, and so he decided he was going into business. And so he actually moved to Shelby and started his first place. A lot of people don't know about that, but actually Stamey started in Shelby. So I just put up some ads from the old days. We had a place called the Old Hickory in Lexington, also Stamey's Barbecue. My grandfather was really sort of an entrepreneur. He just tried everything he could. He actually was manic depressive, so he would get in a high period, and he would do anything from buy a hotel to to do just anything he could come up with, and then he'd go for times when he'd go sit in a chair and not do anything, So it worked for him though, because he actually had built some good stuff.
The menu hadn't changed much yet.
Yeah, I'm glad there's no prices up there. So I'm trying to go a little faster, but so after all my grandfather's times in Lexington, he had 4 places, different stuff. He decided to come to Greensboro. So we're in Greensboro now, and y'all might be familiar, I don't know, in this crowd, but this was the first place we had in Greensboro, right on Gate City Boulevard or High Point Road. But this was actually really early in 1953, before they even we had a car awning here where you could go get the car hop service. Here's inside. So that was, does anybody remember that place?
Yeah.
There you go, there you go. I remember it too, but I was 12 when they tore it down, so I can't say I really remember it that great. I remember the squeak in the door though. When people would go in from the kitchen into the front.
Yeah. That's the same location as it is now. They just tore it down.
Same area, right across from the Coliseum. I look at this picture and I always think of the girl in the waiting the counter. But I remember we had a health man one time, and he actually accused me of changing the grade with Photoshop. And at first I wouldn't go to that trouble, and second, we never had a B, so I don't know what he was talking about. It was a good story though. So this is the second restaurant we built on that same location. We tore the other one down and came back here. This is the one y'all see now. It's a little, if you're looking by the cars though, this is a little younger. The siding's a little newer. But that is just the latest location there.
When did you all build that site?
That was built in 79. So it's actually been there a long time. Longer actually than the original one on the drive-in place. So, yeah. Now my dad is a shy guy, so this is the only picture I can find of my dad. And this is my uncle Keith. They both ran the business as a second generation. With my aunt was in it for a little bit, but I don't have any pictures of all 3 of them. But so I don't know. Many of you may know him. He's still alive. He's 83. He lives in town. My mom lives in town, so we're lucky to still have those guys. My uncle died in 2000. I think so, died a little bit younger. So I wanted to show you a little quick clip here. Well, I don't know if it's quick. It's about some. This will give you more of an overview of what's going on with. This was a show. If you didn't see it, it was on Man Fire Food. It was on the Food Channel.
Shoulders times 10 pits.
Well, I want you to see how we
That's a
cook.
lot of meat. Ooh, that is hot. I'm in Greensboro, North Carolina, where Lexington-style barbecue is king. I'm meeting up with Chip Stamey. His family owns Stamey's Barbecue. They've been serving up this area for 80 plus years. And if that's not reason enough for me to go check this place out, I don't know what is. What's up? You must be Chip Stamey. I've heard so much about Stamey's, but I didn't know that it was actually 2 buildings. What's the story with that?
That's our original restaurant location down on the street, and we had the pits in the restaurant. But then we grew, and we needed more space and more capacity, and so we built this pit. And then we built this larger restaurant on the street after we tore that one down.
So a little bit bigger and better.
Bigger and better.
All right, well, let's go check it out. All right. Ooh, check this place out. How many pits you got? 10 pits. 10 pits. Wow. You got a little lock on the door here. These are stainless steel doors.
So I think this is just iron.
Cast iron. But this goes back pretty far. I was expecting it only to go like, a foot or 2 at most. How large is that? How many pork shoulders you guys cook here? That's your thing, right?
We cook pork shoulders exclusively. Can fit about 20 normally in a pit.
20 pork shoulders times 10 pits. That's a lot of meat. Stamey's is Lexington style barbecue. What exactly makes it Lexington style?
Lexington style is cooking pork shoulder exclusively over hardwood coals in our case.
Where do you actually fire the wood to make coals?
Right behind you. This is a furnace. This guy's been here since we built this building. It's located in a central location so that we can access all the pits independently. We're continuously loading wood all day long as a 10-hour process of cooking the meat.
So that sounds pretty good, man. Can I help you build a fire because we can get this going?
That'd be great. Start out with something that's easy to light like this.
Yeah.
And just build it up from there.
Chip, I built a lot of fires. That looks like a lot of kindling, but there's no wood. What's up?
Well, we gotta load this furnace up from outside.
Okay, let's go check it out. It's a lot of wood out here, my brother.
This is primarily hickory wood.
Hickory, is that like the wood of the South?
Most people who cook with wood use that.
It's a dense, heavy wood, and it holds up well.
It does. We're ready to go.
Now we're fully loaded with wood, fully loaded with kindling and paper. I think I know what's coming next. How long before we have working coals, Chip?
I think we're about 15 and 20 minutes we should have some. Just long enough for us to get the meat on so we can put the coals under it.
Let's load these pits.
We're gonna salt the face of the meat, and then we're gonna lay it down with the skin up to start.
Get a healthy little whack. How's that look?
That's not as much salt as you think.
Competition style.
On the outside.
That's right. That's a big piece of meat.
We're gonna just cover it up. That's just to protect the meat from ashes falling down. where we're starting out, we just hit it what we call heavy because it's cold in there and we want to get it going. And we'll move the doors out of the way and get the other side.
Ooh, that is hot. We got over 100 pork shoulders in all these smokers right now. Gotta keep feeding coals over the next 4 or 5 hours, about 250 degrees. Then we gotta flip them. Next comes the hard part, flipping a pit full of pork shoulders.
It is tricky. These things are 20 pounds. It's a heavy piece of meat.
I'm here in Greensboro, North Carolina with Chip Stamey from Stamey's Barbecue. We've had these pork shoulders cooking for about 4 or 5 hours, been stoking the fire. These should be ready to flip now though, right?
Yes, we should get in there and check them out and see what they're like.
Okay, let's check it out. Ta-da-da! They're starting to render some of that fat. Parts of it are starting to crisp up around the edges. That's always a good sign because that's lots of flavor, right?
That is.
So how do we go about flipping this thing?
It is tricky. These things are 20 pounds. It's a heavy piece of meat.
I was afraid that the fat would be so rendered that when you try and grab it with the fork, it would just peel away, but it's still holding on there. All right, I'm going in. It's not quite as easy as it looks. Almost there. Whew. Done. Wow. Some of that fat, now that it's flipped, is starting to hit the coals a little bit, and it's creating a little bit more smoke in there, right?
Right, that's really the key to our process. The juices dripping onto the coals, the smoke that comes from that coming up.
Ooh, so it's like a circle of flavor that's happening.
Right.
How long is that going to take to finish cooking?
I think those are looking pretty far along. I think we can get it in about 4 hours.
So low and slow, right?
Exactly. There's some parts that are whiter, that they call that the white lean. And then there's the browner parts. And so that's what I like about the shoulders. It's got a little bit of everything.
Check out some of this meat. This looks really amazing here. Very tender, warm, moist, a little bit of fat, a little bit of brown. You know that's the piece I'm going for. That's really tasty. Thanks. It's like just enough seasoning with the salt and nothing is getting in the way, obstructing the flavor of the pork. 80 years in the game, pork and salt. We're at chopping stage now.
So there's two people in the world. There's people who use 2 cleavers and people who use 1 cleaver.
Well, let's start small.
No, let's do 1 cleaver then.
Show me your secrets. How fine are you looking to chop this up?
We go pretty fine because that's what our customers enjoy.
So let me get some little chopping going here.
All right.
Check my chopping game.
I'm gonna watch it. That looks great.
You know, Chip, I'm feeling a little confident. Back up here, bro. Watch out. Very nice. You hear that? He said it. He said it himself, man. Chip, looks like we have enough meat for at least a couple sandwiches.
I think so.
I'm excited to try a famous Stamey sandwich. Ooh, look at all that meat.
Bun, meat, our Mexican-style dip, which is vinegar, water, ketchup, and spices.
Okay.
Then the slaw is the most unique part of the deal because there's no mayonnaise in that slaw.
None at all. Vinegar?
Vinegar, and all the same ingredients the sauce has in it. Ketchup.
And you like a little healthy portion of meat on there, right?
Of course.
You tell me when to stop.
I'd fire him the first day.
What happens when you get to build your own sandwich? Okay, make sure you mixed up some of that sauce. Now, do you go heavy with the sauce? Like
That's a personal preference, but normally it's just like 1 nice spoonful.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 for this one.
And it wets up everything.
Yeah, that sauce is all really a finishing sauce, just made to moisten the meat. Let's top it off with the slaw.
The Lexington slaw. More than that? That looks That's
good. I think you're gonna do it right. Yes.
Respectable in the sandwich world right there.
I'll see if you can put it together.
Check it out. Going in. This is just pure pork flavor, really clean. The texture is very consistent, and it's a nice meaty hunk of sandwich, you know. I like that. Hooray, Lexington style in Greensboro. For more info on the show, go to cookingchanneltv.com/manfirefood.
It's better when you get a professional to talk about you than yourself. So I wanted to show that really because I think I'd like to see a show of hands. How many people really know how we cook barbecue or have seen that? There are a lot of people haven't, and that's what I know is that I just don't think people, they come to the restaurant, they eat, but they don't really have a clue what goes behind doing that. So that's why we have that limited menu and why we don't have hamburgers and we don't have all this other stuff, because when we go to all that trouble doing something like that, then we're tired and we just want to.
So production takes, what, 10 hours?
Just the cooking part, then that's when it's really easier at that point. Then we have to go in there into the restaurant and actually chop it up and serve it.
So how often do you prepare the ovens and cook the?
We do that every day.
Every day?
Every day. If that we're open, we're not open on Sunday.
How many shoulders do you get through a day?
It could be from about 150 to 200.
When do you start the fire and what's the day like?
We come in, so they come in about 5 o'clock, 4:30, depending on, sometimes we'll say, gotta come in a little early because we need to start quickly, and so we can get it done. It's funny, most of it gets done in 10 hours, but they're smaller ones and they can get done maybe in 7. And so we can have some for lunch that way. We just go through one time and get the ones that are done and then leave the rest on there that are ready.
That'll be your dinner supply.
Chip?
Do you, as you know, I'm on a competitive barbecue team.
Uh-huh.
Do you use a particular type of pork shoulder, type of pig?
So when you're using that many, you can't be as picky as maybe you can when you're out in your backyard. But and really, there's not a lot of choice in the pork industry because there's a big one called Smithfield that got bought up, and they bought up Lundy, and then blah, 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 blah. So there's only like 2 that I'm even aware of that I can buy from. And the one that we buy from is the smaller one, which is up in Pennsylvania. It's called Hatfield, and it's still, they have better meat, and it's we have to every once in a while. I mean, Smithfield's is fine, but we just prefer the other.
They're all organic and grass-fed and.
Exactly. There is an outfit that does that. It's called Heritage Pork. They call it. It's really good stuff, but they don't have enough stuff for us, unfortunately.
The other question I had, you had a picture of an open pit beside the courthouse, and it used to be all barbecue in the state, as far as I know, was open pit, and people used to advertise open pit. Sort of along the line, the health laws changed or something.
I think a lot of times people attribute things to health laws, and that does have something to do with it. But I think really what it amounts to is people who are cooking barbecue don't want to be standing outside. And that's where it went first, and then certainly now they wouldn't let me do it. Though you're right.
Hey, Chuck, I got a question. But are pigs that go to just hot dog processors, are they different than the pigs that go to barbecue processors?
So, I don't know if you've ever been on the farm. Recently, and it's I'd rather be in a pig farm and a pig plant than I would a chicken plant. They've got it down, and it's really amazing what they do. I mean, it is an animal and you're eating it. So, I mean, that is another discussion. But they go to a certain pound. I mean, they don't. Smithfield and those guys, they want one that's exactly this certain weight, and they just go through it, and it's just always the same. It's amazing. Now, the ones that don't fit in that category go somewhere, but the ones that we get, they're when I open up a box, there's not much variation. It's just boom, boom,
I was
boom.
thinking the hot dog, they wanted big as they can get, old as they can get, they don't care.
And that, yeah, exactly.
But
Luckily,
they're all
the-
having standards, there's a size, and it's always consistent.
Then how do you know it's all pig in that hot dog?
So Chip, how do you keep up during ACC tournament time?
It's you know what, ACC tournament is fun just because it changes everything. So we look forward to it because it's a different. We get our regular customers and we get people from out of town that we don't normally get to see. But that's really a parking problem more than a barbecue problem. You know, in other words, if I call those guys and say put 2 more pits on, it's not. You know, if I'm not doing that every day, it's not that big a deal. You know.
Do you run the pits 24/7?
Well, we had, you saw that building, we have enough capacity just for the 2 restaurants. Now, if we had 5 or something like that, we couldn't, but we can do it in one run. Now, Christmas is a hard time. This is the only time, on Christmas, we'll stay overnight and cook. Because we do a whole shoulders, people come and buy them, just like the honey baked ham or something. They get the whole thing and they take it home and chop it up and do it themselves.
Hey, Chip.
Hello, Doc.
First of all, I'm really glad that you guys are doing a build your own sandwich thing. But the big question is, when is the Battleground store going to reopen?
It's open! Hey! So we were going to talk about that. That's a good segue. I like that. Actually, this is Pon, our pit master. I was going to squeeze him in there. So he's been with me for 29 years. And this is, we're lucky because we don't pay photographers, and people like to take pictures of barbecue and they like to come talk about it. So we get to get cool images and things because these guys like to come take pictures. People always wonder about this one. I always love the one where it shows the coals going into the furnace and stuff like, you know, under the meat. Looks like fireflies dancing at night. Sort of poetic. When you're picking up those shoulders, though, it doesn't feel very artistic at all. So this is the new place, guys. Battleground we didn't even talk about, but it's actually our oldest restaurant. It was built in 1970, right there on 2812 Battleground Avenue, right beside David. And so we just totally gutted it, basically. Got new concrete, new asphalt, brand new plumbing, brand new electrical. The only thing left is the studs and the rafters. New roof. I don't really know why I didn't tear it down, other than I didn't know what to put back in its place if I did tear it down. So we painted it brown. We got a red roof now, so you can't miss it. And we did add one thing that I think is going to be interesting to everybody. Is we have a drive-through there now. So the inside's the same size. Actually, maybe a few more seats. So got the wood. This isn't wood. It's wood tile. Everybody asks about that. But my wife's an interior designer, so I don't get any credit for anything the way it looks. It has. If you've been in the old one, you know it looks a lot different than it did too. So, but
Did you keep the safe?
Keep the safe. I did move it. I got it, but we put it away just because we didn't have a place to put it. Yeah, that was an old one. But in both our restaurants, we had the safe out front because a consultant came to my dad and he said, "Put the safe out front." And he was right. We never actually have had an issue with somebody trying to get to us. So, we don't. Now the cash days are about over, so it's not as big a problem anymore. Those darn credit cards have changed all that. Well, I guess I'll blithered along. Anybody have any questions?
Years ago, you used to serve breakfast at the one on Battleground.
Yeah.
And we used best pork tenderloin that you could get. Why don't we go back to that?
Okay, so it's a well-kept secret, but when we had a fire and it was June the 28th, 2016, so it was a year till now when we got built back up. So I had all these employees. We have 83 employees, a lot of families. So my goal was not to lay anybody off for doing anything. So I after we painted everything and fixed everything up at the other restaurant, we ran out of things to do. Then we said, what are we going to do? I didn't want to lay these people off. So we opened breakfast at the other store. But not a lot of people don't know it because it's not in their circle. Probably this room didn't know it. So So at High Point Road, we have breakfast and have tenderloin biscuits. And I call it High Point Road, I'm sorry, I'll never get over that. But, Gate City Boulevard, across from the Coliseum, right? So we have breakfast there, and our intentions is at Battleground to do that, but right now we're just doing all we can do just to do the regular barbecue stuff from 11 to 9, so.
I was in there Saturday and parking spilled over in the men's warehouse. I guess that's going to continue to be, especially lunchtime.
Well, my friends at the Lions Club, they do our parking at the other school, at the store for Coliseum, and so we have got some of those guys to come out and help us manage it. So I think it's getting a little better. Then they're smiling at people and pointing to where the empty spots are and all that kind of stuff.
There was a guy out there directing them.
Oh, good. I did. And yeah, we have an agreement with them. Actually, luckily they don't need a lot of spots, So, but this is just the honeymoon phase, you call it. I mean, it's going to hopefully stay very busy, but it's not. I don't think it'll be at that level, forever. So.
And Chip, when they did the Man Fire Food episode, what day was that? It looked like you had pretty much shut down. Was that a Sunday or?
No, it was worse. It was like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Yeah. So that's an amazing. I've never been around a production like that. I mean, we've been on the news, local, and all that stuff. But when they do that, they come in with 5 cameras, sound man, all that stuff, HD, and actually the quality of that it looks really good if you see it. It's on Netflix if you ever. Somebody told me, and it looks better, when you really get to see it. But they wanted to see the whole thing. They were there for 2.5 days doing that. So for that 10 minute, 9 minute.
Your work?
So we just moved around it, and so we were up there early. We went down there, and we were sitting at that counter. That was probably 5 o'clock in the morning. We're not there. We didn't have breakfast at the time we were filming it, so we had the whole place to ourselves.
You've hosted a couple of presidents and a lot of bands that have come across the street to eat with you. Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, most notably is the one that's up there now. Old Donald came through. And that was an interesting day. All I can remember is just he's big. I was just looking at him. That guy's tall, and he likes to eat. So you get to know that about him. Then George W. came through. That was really a cool one because I was actually talking to one of the Secret Service detail when they were in the restaurant, and that was actually, he said the first time he had been with him the whole time of the 8 years he was with him that they came to Stamey's just like a regular day. They pulled up, he came in, shook hands with everybody. We had a table for him in the corner, but they didn't frisk anybody, didn't scan anybody. It was like an unannounced drop-in visit. And he said that as long as he had been on detail, they had never done that. So I don't know why they chose to do that, but I thought that was pretty cool. And he went to that whole restaurant, shook everybody's hand, took pictures, got on the phones with people, talking to their husbands and wives. He was a smooth guy. Yeah, he was much more collegial and fun than Donald. Donald was fine, but he was Donald. He's a New Yorker, right? So yeah. But George W. was cool. He was really cool. And I remember, we had Tony Snow at the table. We had some people from town. It was just neat to see some of the people you'd see on the news shows at night just eating in your restaurants.
Did you have any warning that they were coming, or did they just walk in the door?
It was, so I knew, I had a call maybe 2 weeks before. What if, I don't know, let's talk about, and then, it's like they'll never be specific about anything because of the way they were going to do it. Then that morning, somebody came from, actually she said Homeland Security. And she came in and said, can we get a table? And she wouldn't say what. Like, I knew what she was doing. So I knew. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell my dad. I didn't tell anybody. So I should have because they all got mad at me.
Absolutely.
Next time I do it, I'll tell. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. Yeah, so y'all want to get on the list. So. Yeah. We'll see if any more come.
What do you do when you overcook food for the day?
Overcook. You'd cry. So it's never really been a huge problem. Again, we just have those guys who know how to do it. So So luckily, that's just not been a real big issue, yeah. But if, there's been, we've had fires. There's no ovens, there's no switches, there's no switches, there's no electricity, This is there's no thermometers, we test it by poking it. And,
No, I mean when you cook too much food.
I'll cook too much food. Well, what we do is we have Brunswick stew. We have some things that we can chop it up and put it in. I get what you're saying. I thought you meant overcook. You meant over amount. Sorry. I get it. So yeah, every day I got to make it. That's one of the biggest decisions I make is how much we cook. And that's why we cook every day, because a lot of restaurants, barbecue restaurants, don't do that. They cook because you can see why. It's just a lot of work. And so if you cook every day, you can sort of hit it. But if you're guessing for 2 or 3 days, I don't know about that. Because some people do that, yeah.
Good deal. Any more questions, guys? Got one more duty for you, Chip. We're going to dedicate a book to Cone Elementary School in your name. Cool. So we appreciate you coming. But pick a number and call out the last 4.
Last 4, 1765.